Good evening, hockey fans, and welcome back to the Hornets Hockey Network. My name is Rob Finger, alongside our videographer, Fu-Mei, Tung, and we're back at the W.G. Allen Arena here in Skaneateles for Round 5 of the Skaneateles Summer Series. Tonight, I predict it'll be quite the battle as your Hornets are going up against the Storm of Ontario Bay. Now, as we get into our scouting report, I'll explain the reasoning behind my prediction and the precedents that have been set on multiple occasions between these two teams. Last two times that these teams have clashed, things have come to blows. Last year, during the 2022 Summer Series, a fight broke out between Lucas Latoff and a member of the Obey Storm, after a series of hard hits were exchanged between some of the players of each team. Later that year, during the regular season, Bryce Goodenough of Obey decided he wanted to play WWE instead of hockey, and summarily suplexed Charlie Lorraine of the Hornets. Fists were soon after thrown. Hopefully, however, since all the aforementioned players have either graduated or left the team, we can have a fairly clean game between these two teams. However, that's never guaranteed in the game of hockey. In other news, as was mentioned last week during the game, my good friend Eric Shear was supposed to join us for tonight's broadcast. However, due to ongoing family health issues, he will not be joining us this evening. Once again, thoughts go out to him and his family during this time, and we wish for a speedy recovery back to health and for him to join us here sometime soon. As for the Hornets themselves, their record does not bode well for them, standing at 1-3 during this summer series. Their only win so far came in the form of a 7-1 victory over Broome County, in which multiple people had multiple gold nights. Leading the individual stats so far is none other than Joey Leveroni, with 4 goals and 3 assists, totaling 7 points in 4 games so far. In fairly distant second lies the likes of Will Sanzone, Tyler Main, and Nico Capriati, all who lie at 3 points apiece. One story point to note about this Hornets crew this evening is the fact that their star goaltender, Chris Finger, is absent for tonight's game. Reason for that being is that he is out in Buffalo, participating in a college prep showcase, in which more than 80 different scouts from various junior and collegiate organizations will be analyzing him and a number of other prospects from around the Northeast and the Midwest. We wish him good luck and all the success as he takes part in this elite showcase. This does mean, however, that starting in goal tonight will be Sean LaMarche, who as of now hasn't had the best start, statistically speaking, to this summer series. Another thing to note would be the reported absence of a number of higher players on the Storm team, namely their starting goaltender and a few more of their more elite forwards. Hopefully then, this gives the Hornets a good opportunity to strike where it hurts on a slightly weakened Ontario Bay team. With all that said, it's time for the main event. Who will take round 5 in the Finger Lakes? Will the Storm loom over these Hornets and strike them down with thunderous play? Or will the Hornets ride out the Storm and see through to the other side? All that and more will be determined here tonight. And the only place to watch all the action is here on the Hornets Hockey Network. It's Storm versus Hornets as we get set for game time. And oh boy, I think our timekeepers here might be having a little bit of trouble. Nonetheless, Hornets coming out from their goal. The Storm coming out from theirs. The Storm tonight in their black and white attire as opposed to their usual orange. And the Hornets, as ever, in their green shirts. And we will do battle here on the shores of the Finger Lakes at the W.G. Allen Arena. Hornets coming up to the faceoff dot now. And the Storm on a little bit of a shorter bench will come to fight as well. And here we come. Both goaltenders are ready. Timekeepers appear to be ready. We're ready up here, and the puck is dropped, and it's quickly won back by Ontario Bay. He'll grab that, but quickly running him over is Will Sanzone. He'll take that into the Obey zone. And thankfully, keeping it in is Walker Thompson. Going into the near corner, Will Sanzone going for it. Jack Lalick in to help him out. Joey Leveroni able to grab that just below the goal line. But now Obey will grab that, sending it up the near boards. Keeping that in. Gavin Patnode sending it towards the center, but it bounces off towards the far boards. And grabbing that, Will Sanzone able to keep it in, but he gets into the hands of Obey just below the goal line. They'll send it off the boards here, and keeping that in with a kick is Gavin Patnode, but Obey able to take it out quickly. And here they come rushing quickly into the Hornets' end, going into the far corner of their zone. Obey trying to get it towards the center there, but Jack Lalick able to grab that for the Hornets. He will come up the near side, sending it towards the center. It didn't quite go to a Hornet. It'll bounce over to the near boards. Obey still with it in the Hornets' end. They'll come back, try to get another shot on. But it's Walker Thompson who will possess that, but Obey putting on the pressure. They will send it over to the near side. Grabbing that, Joey Leveroni, who will get that back for Gavin Patnode. Patnode getting it up and over into the hands of Joey Leveroni. He comes into the Obey zone. Him and Will Sanzone trying to make something happen as the rest of their team changes. Handing it off to Nick Sergeev. A shot will come, and the goaltender will turn that away. Ontario Bay sending it back up the near side, but Joey Leveroni getting that for himself, trying to send it towards the center. Gets in the hands of, I believe that is Jalen Meyer. But Obey will grab that. Oh, and Joey Leveroni able to steal it back again. He sends it into the near corner of the Obey zone. Obey grabbing that. Getting it up the boards, but keeping it in is Nick Sergeev. It'll roll around into the far corner. Going for that, Tyler Main. But Obey still with the possession. They're able to get it out of the zone, but not before Jalen Meyer tries to send it back. But it gets it back into the hands of Tyler Main. He'll try to make a couple moves here. Loses that. Jalen Meyer will pick it up. Coming up the far side. Pass towards the center to Nico Capriati. And entry in. And his shot will go over the net. Keeping that in. Jalen Meyer with a big hit there. Making the most of his shift here. Drew Main going into the far corner, but it gets into the hands of Storm. They'll try to get it out, but Nico Capriati coming in off an interception. Not able to get a shot off. He hands it over to Tyler Main. Main sending it back down deep for Capriati. Drew Main coming in to help. Capriati with that puck still. Hands it off to Drew Main. Main coming around the other side here towards the far half of the zone. Handing it off to his brother Tyler, who's still in that far corner. Trying to make a couple moves. They try to get it up close and personal to the net. But it gets back into the far corner. Obey will try to get it out, but keeping that in is Gavin Nano. Drew Main coming around to the near side. Into the near corner. Along the boards, wheeling it around. He hands it off to Nick Sergeev with a shot, and it'll go wide of the net. It'll roll all the way around and out of the zone. And Gavin Nano putting on a big hit, and he is hung up on the penalty box. But we will have a penalty nonetheless. Oh, and the referees will call that as charging. And boy, oh boy, outside the NHL and the AHL, charging is a bit more serious of a penalty than otherwise. In some leagues, charging gets you an automatic 2 and 10. But I believe, due to the fact that no other member of the Hornets team will go into that box, we will have just 2 minutes on Gavin Nano for charging. 12:58 remaining in this first period of play. Still no score. As we wait for the timekeepers to get it up on the board. And they will have 1:30. And I think they may be used to the high school regular season, but in this summer series, it's 2 minutes per penalty. We will look to get it fixed as both teams wait to the right of Sean LaMarche in the Hornets' end. Timekeepers still wallowing over the scoreboard machine, which I will admit isn't exactly the most straightforward machine out there. I've been behind that bench a couple times to keep score, do the clock, things like that, and the scoreboard machine is never the most intuitive. And there we have it. 2 minutes on the board. Face off to the right of LaMarche. This one tied up. One to the side by Obey, but looking to take that quickly is Joey Leveroni. He'll take it up the far side. A 3-on-2 here coming over the blue line. Leveroni deters a hit. Comes in close. Tries to come around and look to set something up here. Gavin Patnode sending in something deep back into the Obey end. Obey grabbing it. coming out of their zone over the red line. We'll pass it towards the center and dump it in. Gavin Patno grabbing that in the near corner for the Hornets, but Fu-Mei putting on a big shot. It'll go wide of the net. Rolling around to the far side. A big hit thrown by Jalen Meyer. Boy, oh boy, he is out for blood today. Hopefully, doesn't get called for something as Fu-Mei takes a shot there, but it's turned away by LaMarche. Fu-Mei keeping it in once again. They'll try to get a cheeky shot in close around that face-off dot, but they'll relinquish up towards the point, and a shot will come, and it's turned away by Sean LaMarche. Coming back at a cross, though. Across the crease it goes. And thankfully, the Hornets will get it out, courtesy of Michael Leduc. And here comes Joey Leveroni on an opportunity here. A shot will go off the mask of the goaltender for the Storm. Fu-Mei trying to repossess it here. And Leveroni dumping it back deep in the zone. As Tyler Main goes to get it, Leveroni will go to change. Main up to Nick Sergiva. Shot will come. And it's just off the goaltender. Walker Thompson facing some pressure below the goal line. Keep in mind, though, the Hornets are a man down. Fu-Mei looking to get it out. They send it up towards the far side. Drew Main grabbing that for the Hornets. In their own end, though. He'll wheel it all the way around to the near side. Just putting it up the boards. And the D-men will grab that for Fu-Mei. Sending it over to the far side. Skating over through the circle to the near side. Dumping it into the zone. 11 minutes left to go in this first period as Walker Thompson grabs that, sending it up the far boards. And we are even strength as Nico Capriati comes out from the bench. He tried to pass it up to Drew Main, but no shot will come there. Back over to Nico Capriati below the goal line. Making a couple moves. He's thankfully able to stay with that puck. Sending it a backhand right in close. But Fu-Mei will grab that as their goaltender is able to deter it. Tyler Main going into the far corner, trying to get as much of an opportunity as he can, but Fu-Mei still possessing that puck. Just trying to take it away as it comes into the near side, over to the near boards. Nico Capriati grabbing it off the boards, but Fu-Mei will forward it out of their own zone. That'll go all the way down, and that one will be an icing. 10:16 left to go in this first period, and if you're not already, make sure to follow us on Instagram at FM Hornets Hockey for the latest updates about your Hornets team, including videos and extras. Face off to the right of the Fu-Mei goaltender as he was just barely ready there, grabbing his stick from off to the top of the goal. But thankfully, his team's able to get it out quick. They're coming up to the near side, into the Hornets' end. A shot will come, and it's saved by Sean LaMarche. Ontario Bay trying to take it around the near side. And Gavin Patno putting on some big hits there, but nonetheless, goes deep into the zone again. Jalen Meyer grabbing that. Off the boards it goes. Up the far side. Sliding its way down, and Fu-Mei will grab that. Gets off a stanchion, though. Didn't go as far as he would have wanted it to. But thankfully, Fu-Mei is able to get it out again. It goes into the hands of, I believe that is Gavin Patno. He'll send it up the near side. Oh, and a big hit from Grayson Mucha gets put on there. As Michael Leduc thankfully able to take it deep into the Fu-Mei zone. Fu-Mei, though, grabbing that. Jalen Meyer able to keep it in. Sends it down to Connor McDonald, but Fu-Mei will get it back around. Patno keeping it in for the Hornets. Stopped by the defense there, and Fu-Mei will get it out. And they will come down quickly, trying to get a quick shot on there. Sending it out towards the center. And FM will get their hands on it, but a little bit of a blind pass to the boards there, and a shot will come, and it's covered by Sean LaMarche. As some of the Hornets defensemen didn't exactly take too kindly to the Storm players being in Sean LaMarche's crease. 9:01 remaining in this first period of play. Still no score here from Skaneateles. Face off to the left of Sean LaMarche. This face-off, one towards the center by the Hornets. They try to grab it quickly. Henry Dougherty making a couple moves, trying to get it towards the near side, but Fu-Mei will take it back. A shot will come, and it's gloved up by LaMarche. 8:51 now remaining. And another face-off to LaMarche's left. Face-off, one back by the Hornets, but Nick Sergiv putting that right up into the netting. We'll have another stoppage of play after only 3 seconds have elapsed on that clock. And we'll have I'd say take 3 now from that left side face-off circle. Face-off one back by the Hornets. Nick Sergeev getting it up into the netting again. And boy, oh boy. Might have to watch the height of his shots out of the zone. There's now another 3 seconds elapses off the clock. And we'll go take 4 to the left of LaMarche. This one tied up. One back to Walker Thompson. He'll get it low off the boards and out of the zone. However, they will rule that icing. And it'll go all the way back down again to that left side face-off circle. This is take 5. We're practically in Hollywood. Face off, one to the side. Walker Thompson getting it off the boards. It'll go into the hands of Dmitry Sergeev. He forwards it up to Henry Dougherty as they enter the zone. A shot will come. And they score! Brady Moore off of a rebound. And wow, what a zone exit and entry play that was. And that rebound has netted them the first point of this game. 1-0 is our score from Skaneateles. Face off in the center. This one won back by the Hornets. Gavin Nano looks a little disappointed to go and have to get it off the face-off. Thankfully, he's able to get it out quickly. Fu-Mei, though, trying to turn it the other way. Will Sanzone trying to stick check there. Fu-Mei dumping it back in. Gavin Nano trying to get it out, but it gets into the body of one of the Fu-Mei players. And they will rule a hand pass. I believe that'll be a hand pass on Ontario Bay. That will come out of the zone. Face off right in front of the FM bench. This one towards the boards. Fu-Mei trying to take it quickly, and they get it just into the Hornets zone. Patno, though, grabbing that, sending it off the boards. It'll go to the near side, but Fu-Mei sending it towards the center. No shot will come this time. The shot from the point now comes, and it's gloved up by LaMarche. 7:54 remains in this first period. Unfortunately, shots are not being kept, as is custom in the regular season. But nonetheless, here we are to the left of LaMarche again, and another shot comes right towards him off the face-off dot, and he's able to scoop that up with his glove again. 7:52 remains in the first. To the left of LaMarche again, it'll be one to the corner by the Hornets. Jalen Myers sending that all the way around and out of the zone. Tyler Main trying to chase it, but Fu-Mei will send it back in. It'll go below the goal line. Jalen Meyer grabbing that again, sending it back up the other side, and Tyler Main will grab it this time. Trying to face a Fu-Mei player as he dumps it into the Fu-Mei end. It gets coming from the Hornets. Tyler Main looking to grab that below the goal line, sending it towards the near corner. And grabbing that, Nico Capriati gets a little muscled off the puck, though. And the Fu-Mei Storm will take it out, but here comes Drew Main on an entry again and making a couple of moves. Oh, but it doesn't quite find Twine. Fu-Mei taking it out again, this time up the far side. Tyler Main trying to put on some pressure. Jalen Meyer will come to join him as Nick Sergeev goes for that just below the goal line of the Hornets end. Sending it up the near side, but Fu-Mei sending it back in. Over towards the far side, it'll get up for Drew Main. A one-on-one here and a shot, and it's patted away by the goaltender. He tried to bring it up across the crease, NHL 23 style, but it did not work. Fu-Mei now possessing it in the Hornets' end. Gavin Patno going for it below the goal line. They'll send it back up. Nico Capriati getting it off the boards, and around that Fu-Mei player, he'll pass it up for Connor McDonald. A deke and a shot. Oh, and it's saved by the goaltender. Wow. Connor McDonald with it below the goal line. Looking over his options. But it gets into the hands of Fu-Mei. They will send it out quickly, but that will be an icing. .6:07 remains in this first period of play. And that last sequence reminds me of a saying that we used to say a lot in the hockey world, all Swedish, but no finish. And hopefully the Hornets can find a couple more finishes other than the one they put on the board already. As the puck rolls all the way back into the Hornets' end. Grabbing that is Gavin Patnaud. They'll take it towards the center, but it gets right into the hands of Fu-Mei. They will send it back in. Nick Sergeev getting it up the near side. Fu-Mei able to keep it in. But Michael Leduc trying to get some pressure put on. They'll send it up the near side. Fu-Mei still fighting for it, but it gets into the hands of Grayson Mucha. They'll hand it over to Connor McDonald. Mucha gets it back towards the center, and it rolls right in! And boy, oh boy, the Hornets are getting all the dirty goals, the greasy goals that they can this evening. Wow. Put it towards the net. Might just be redirected in. And in that case, it definitely was. 2-0 is our score. Face-off one back by Ontario Bay. Hornets grabbing that, and here comes Brady Moore coming into the zone, looking over his options as he comes below the goal line. Looking over as he comes into the near corner. Gets it right up for Walker Thompson, having to weave it through a bunch of other players. Brady Moore able to get a shot, but it's turned away by the goaltender. Goes to the far boards. Henry Dougherty ferreting it up to, I believe that was Gavin Patnaud, or nope, that was Brady Moore, but it's no. Doesn't matter now because we have a penalty for interference. And this will be on Ontario Bay. And for the first time this game, the Hornets will go on a power play. And given their current form, what will they be able to do? Just waiting for it to come up on the scoreboard. 4:54 remaining. Face-off is dropped. It's won back by the Hornets. FM taking it out of the zone quickly. They'll hand it over to Gavin Patnaud. Forwarding it up to Drew Main. And they will enter the zone. We're going to set something up here, but it gets into the hands of Ontario Bay. They'll send it hard down the length of the ice. It'll get off the stick of LaMarche and into the hands of Jack Lawlick. Lawlick coming up the near side. Around one man. Goes over the red line and to the zone. Looking to set something up. Looking over his options as he comes around the net. Wheeling it around. He will drop that for Drew Main. Looking over his options. He hands it up to Patnaud on the near point. Over to the far point for Lawlick. Bobbling that a little bit. He will dump it back in. Capriati passing it up. It'll hand it over to Drew Main. Main in the far corner. Still with that possession as he gets a little bit pressure put on him. Coming over to the near side. Looking over his options. Sends it back to Lawlick on the far side. Lawlick with a big shot, and it goes wide of the net. Fu-Mei able to get it out. It'll go all the way down. Lawlick picking it up in the near corner of the FM Hornets end. Looking over his options. Chooses to go to the far side. Through the middle as he enters the zone. Tried to make something happen, but he ran right into all of the Fu-Mei defenders. And Fu-Mei will be able to get it out. 30 seconds left in this power play. And Fu-Mei able to grab that in the Hornets end. They send it towards the center. And Patnaud will put it quickly into the far corner. And here comes Joey Leveroni. He passes it up to Michael Leduc. Leduc coming back across. He sends it towards the center, but no shot will come. Fu-Mei sending it all the way back down. 5 seconds left in their penalty kill. LaMarche leaving it for Jalen Meyer, and we are even strength. Jalen Meyer coming up the far side. Gets it over for Walker Thompson on the near side. Looks to set something up as they come into the zone below the goal line. He tries to go the other way. Still with that puck. Sends it up. A shot will come, but it's covered and saved by that goaltender. 2:36 remains in this first period of play. 2-0 to score from the Allen Arena. Face-off. One to the side by the Hornets. Grabbing that, Walker Thompson evades a few defenders. He puts a shot on, but it goes wide of the net. Sanzone handing it up to Michael Leduc, who gets steamrolled by one of the O-base defenders. Will Sandsman trying to take a shot, but it gets off a defender over towards the near boards. Walker Thompson still with it on the near boards himself. He will try to take it towards the center. He takes a shot himself. It's turned away by the goaltender. O-Bay working to get it out. They do. It'll go all the way down, back into the Hornets' end. Joey Leveroni taking it behind the net of LaMarche, over towards the far side. Bobbles it in the far corner. And thankfully, he's able to make a couple moves. Gets it off the boards, and it gets it up for Will Sanzone. He's entering the zone. But O-Bay able to grab that quickly at the top of the circles. They send it back the other way. Carrying it now. Dumping it into the zone, over towards the far corner. That'll roll around. And the Hornets, for a couple deflections, will get it out. Henry Dougherty grabbing that, sending it to the near side. And Dougherty will carry it in himself. But that's an offside on Will Sanzone. 1:31 remaining in this first period of play. Face off on the opposite end of the ice from the O-Bay bench. Hornets winning it forward, but O-Bay grabbing it. Sending it back up the other way. Nick Sergeev grabbing that. Sends it back the other way yet again. O-Bay sending it back the other way up the far side of the boards. And thankfully, Gavin Patnode has had enough of this back and forth. He will take it in himself and laying on a big hit. Nonetheless, O-Bay getting it hard, wrapping it around again and into the far corner of the Hornets. And it goes. We have less than a minute left to go here. Grayson Mucha grabbing that, getting it just up forward. Gavin Patnode sending it back in. It'll get deflected off of a O-Bay player. And I believe that is Grayson Mucha going in hard. He and Connor McDonald looking to make something happen. It goes back out to Gavin Patnode. He dumps it in. Tried to get it on net there, but it just went wide. Henry Dougherty able to make a couple good moves there, but he evaded a hit. It'll go out to Patnode, who walks it across, trying to get a shot on here. He'll put it just to the left of the net. Henry Dougherty getting it up to Dmitry Sergeev, to his brother Nick Sergeev. They'll get a shot, and it's gloved down by one of the defensemen, as he's inclined to do. 10 seconds left in this first period. Dmitry Sergeev bracing for a big hit as he hands it off to Connor McDonald. Dmitry Sergeev going low for it. 3 seconds left. Towards the center it goes. But they will run out of time in this here first period. After that first period of play, the score from the Allen Arena is 2-0. Hornets over Ontario Bay. We will go to break really quickly. Hope you'll be able to get a drink or go to the bathroom. But we'll be back here on the Hornets Hockey Network. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Hornets Hockey Network. My name is Rob Finger, alongside Fu-Mei Tung, our videographer. And we're here for the second period of play here at the WG Allen Arena between your FM Hornets and the Ontario Bay Storm. The score, as of yet, is 2-0. Hornets over the Storm due to two fairly greasy goals from the Hornets this evening. But here we are, second period of play. We've changed sides, as is tradition, and the puck is dropped. It's tied up in the center. One tried to win forward by the Hornets. It's deflected, and Gavin Patnold will send it in for the Hornets. Grabbing that, though, is Ontario Bay just below their goal line. They'll try to get it out, but putting on some pressure quickly is Drew Main. They'll send it up the near side. Tyler Main grabbing it, trying to come up off the boards. A quick shot right in close. But Ontario Bay's goaltender will cover that up. Only 25 seconds elapsed in this second period of play. 15:35. And to face off back at that left side face-off, as has happened many times this game. One back by the Hornets. Walker Thompson deterring a hit there. He'll send it in for Nico Capriati. Capriati handing it out to Drew Main. Up to Walker Thompson. Looking over his options, sends it back to Main. Main along the near boards, getting some pressure put on him. Loses that one. It'll go out of the zone. And Walker Thompson and another player off to the races. Thankfully, Walker Thompson's able to win that. But Obey still in that zone, and a big hit will come from Walker. Winning that back up. Nico Capriati had it rolling up the back of his shirt there, and a big hit will be put on by Tyler Main. But nonetheless, Obey coming up the near side. Walker Thompson deterring that at the top of the circles, and the Hornets will get it out off a few deflections. Nico Capriati going pretty hard for that along the near boards. It'll get right back into the hands of Joey Leveroni. I don't think he was quite expecting it, but nonetheless, he will jump that in as the rest of his team goes to change. Obey getting it back over to the near side in the near corner. It'll get over for Jalen Meyer. He'll hand it over to Will Sanzone below the goal line. He tries to send it towards the center, but no shot will come. Leveroni handing that up to Nick Sergeev. Sergeev, and that gets it in deep. But it'll go back over to the near side. Jalen Meyer keeping it in, sending it all the way around to the far corner and to the far boards for Will Sanzone. Sanzone getting a big hit put on him. Obey will take it and get it out of the zone. Nick Sergeev, though, trying to get back in, but Will Sanzone, or Ontario Bay, I should say, and so some big hits being thrown. Boy, oh boy. I believe we may have a couple penalties here. And yes, that is Will Sanzone going to the box. 2 minutes for cross-checking with exactly 14 minutes left to go in the second. Face-off to the right of Sean LaMarche in the Hornets' end. Face-off, one behind by the Hornets. You get it up to Jack Lalick. They try to get it up for Joey Leveroni, who's off to the races now, putting on the Jets as he can. Possessing it in the Obey end. Keep in mind they are down a man. He loses that, trying to get it back away from that man who stole it. Putting on as much forecheck as he can. Oh, but he might be liable for hooking there, and yes, they will call it. Getting it back up. And the Hornets they don't have the penalty. They have all the possession in the world, but no penalty is called as of yet. Obey will be called. 2 minutes for holding the stick. And we will have 4-on-4 for a minute 21 here. You would have thought that Joey Leveroni might have been called for hooking there. But the referees ruled that Ontario Bay player was holding the stick. So, Joey Leveroni is absolved of any wrongdoing, I guess. Face off to the right of the Ontario Bay goaltender. This one to the side by the Hornets. Walker Thompson taking it. 4-on-4 action here. Getting it over to Tyler Main on the near boards. They'll try to set something up here. as Ontario Bay playing like they're on a penalty kill, even though it is technically even strength. And Ontario Bay will get it quickly out. They will wave any icing off. Nick Sergeev grabbing that, coming around quickly, handing it up for Drew Mayne in the center. He and Nick Sergeev will go up. And Drew Mayne losing that, but it gets up to his brother Tyler. Nick Sergeev sending it over. Walker Thompson over for Mayne, a shot, and he scores! And Drew Mayne, what a shot! And with that, a 4-on-4 goal from Drew Mayne. It touched every stick, every Hornets stick on that ice, and eventually found twine. Our score is 3-0. .12:42 remaining in the second period as we come back to the center. And the referee's telling the timekeepers to, I believe, keep that penalty up. Because technically it was even strength. That is not a power play goal. Just waiting for the timekeepers up the top of your screen to put that penalty back up on the board. Because they have to calculate again how much time was remaining. A little bit of an extended stay here at the center. And the referees and that one Ontario Bay player. And now Drew Mayne of the Hornets playing some rock, paper, scissors. And they need to finish. I believe that was Connor McDonald. Oh boy. Having some fun here in Skaneateles. Thankfully, things are pretty amicable. And another shot that goes wide of the net. Wow. Going back, trying to keep it in on the Hornets. And Obey is able to get it out. Jalen Meyer getting that just up the boards here. Michael Duke trying to get that over for Connor McDonald. Hornets possessing it out of the Obey zone. They come back in. Connor McDonald with the possession. The shot will come, and it's turned away by the goaltender. Obey getting it out of their own zone again. 3 seconds left in the penalty on Zan zone. And the Hornets have a power play just as Sean LaMarche is able to cover it up for the Hornets. So 27 seconds will remain in that Hornets power play. 27 seconds is enough time to do some damage on the other end. But as it stands, they will have to start from their own side. Face off one to the side by the Hornets. They will be able to get it out quickly, but Obey grabbing that, getting it back in. Jalen Meyer, though, handing that back up to his teammates, but we will have an offsides. As Connor McDonald stepped over that blue line a little bit too quickly. Michael Leduc giving it a little bit of a pat on the face mask. Saying a little bit of a dummy for that. But it happens. FM winning it back. They'll send it back up into the Obey zone. Getting it up the boards. Able to intercept that is Gavin Patnode. He walks it in, but it goes wide of the net. They get off a stanchion towards the center. It gets back into the hands of Connor McDonald. He tried to hand it over to Patnode, but a little bit of miscommunication there. Thankfully, Connor McDonald's able to pick it back up. But Obey sending it back into the corner. Michael Leduc sending it back over towards the far side. Able to keep it in is Connor McDonald. McDonald handing it down for his fellow teammate in the corner. But Obey will grab that and get it just out of the zone. Possessing that, Jalen Meyer sending it up over to the far side. And getting it back towards the center is Gavin Patnode. And keeping that is Brady Moore. They'll get it up the near side, dumping it into the zone, but Obey will grab that and get it out of the zone as it bobbles between the legs of Gavin Patnode. He's able to grab that and send it back deep into the zone. Getting that in is Dmitry Sergeev with the help of Henry Dougherty. Able to get it is Nick Sergeev, but it gets off of the stick of the goaltender and up into the netting. 10:38 remains in this second period of play. 3-0 is our score here from the shores of Skaneateles Lake. Face off, won back by Ontario Bay. Taking it quickly, giving it up to Nick Sergeev though. But Ontario Bay getting it off the boards, and they'll get it out of the zone. The Hornets though trying to reverse that play, get it back the other way. But nonetheless, Obey able to grab that and send it into the Hornets' end. They'll send it deep below the goal line. Nick Sergeev getting steamrolled there by one of the Obey Storm. And he'll try to deter that hit again. And here comes Brady Moore. He'll send it towards the center for Walker Thompson. He sends it up for, I believe that is Dmitry Sergeev. He'll get it towards the center. He gets a hit himself, though. No Bay will possess it and go in the other way. Get it just off the top of the boards there. Nick Sergeev going for it in the corner again, but trying not to get hit for what would be either a second or third time. He'll send it over to the far boards. But grabbing that is Henry Dougherty. Coming up, using all the space that he can, trying to make a couple moves, sends it in, a rebound is there, but it's not able to be capitalized on. And Walker Thompson sending a shot and it'll go wide. Leveroni keeping it in for the Hornets, sending it over to the near side, it'll get off the boards, Thompson will pick it up. Looking over his options, sends it towards the center, but it'll go deflected off and out of the zone. Patnode will pick it up on the far boards. He will dump that in, little high and lazily, but it'll go into the near corner. Getting it deep are the Hornets. Ontario Bay, though, grabbing that, getting it up. Patnode able to keep it in, but he gets it high and thankfully off the top of the glass and not into the netting. That'll roll around to the near corner. A little bit of scuffling and hitting is present. Walker Thompson getting a shot on, but it goes wide of the net. Over to the near boards, it rolls again. Ontario Bay getting it out of their zone. Thankfully now. Walker Thompson, though, grabbing it in the Hornets' end. Looking over his options as he hands it right up to Sandzone. Thankfully, he's not offsides. Leveroni picking it up, and his shot will come. And it's turned away by the goaltender. Patnode trying to get it towards the center. Leveroni handed it back to Patnode. Patnode with a shallow shot there, but it goes wide of the net. Lalick picking it up on the near point, and it's shot and gloved down by the goaltender. 8:15 remaining in this second period of play. 3-0, still our score from the WG Allen Arena. Face off, one forward by the Hornets. It'll go into the near corner. Drew Main grabbing that. His brother Tyler goes to the front of the net. And getting it back down deep. His brother Tyler going for it. But Obey will possess that themselves, sending it into the far corner. They'll get it up the boards. They're able to take that, or trying to take that out of the two Main twins. But no. Obey Storm able to kick it out. They try to get a play going in the Hornets' end, but it gets deflected off a few skates towards the boards. Picking it up is Tyler Main. His brother Drew and Nico Capriati will go in with him. A shot will come, but it goes wide of the net. Nico Capriati taking it off the far or the near boards, handing it up. Nick Sergeev will try to go D to D there with Jalen Meyer. Handing it up the boards, but Obey will try to get it the other way and backhand it up right into the equipment of Jalen Meyer. And they try to get it out again, the Hornets. But Obey able to keep it in. And a blocked shot there from Drew Main's shin. And Obey trying their best to enter that zone, but to no avail. Nick Sergeev grabbing that in the Hornets' end. Looking over his options as he goes back behind his net for a little bit of room. Sends it up the far side for Tyler Main as they begin to break out. He stretch passes it up to Nico Capriati, trying to make a couple moves, but it doesn't quite work. And Nico Capriati a little bit frustrated by that. He and a couple of his teammates will go to change. Obey getting it towards the near boards. They will get it out of their own zone, sending it back over to the far side, and they will enter the Hornets' end. A big hit will come from Grayson Mocha, and they will call that head contact. boy, oh boy. And thankfully, they will only call that 2 minutes. As usually, it would be a 2 and 10 in the regular season. But I guess here it's a little bit more lax play. You go by Skaneateles rules, and Skaneateles, when in scan, do as the Skaneateles do. Getting it towards the center there. And a shot will go wide. Is Ontario Bay able to pick it up in their own end? They send it over to the far side. Off the boards it will go. They try to enter the zone here. They're going to come across. Still with that puck. A shot will come, and Sean LaMarche is able to grab that and cover it. 6:07 remaining in the second period. It is now Hornets back on a penalty kill. They will exchange a few players, and we will do battle once again to the left of LaMarche. The puck is dropped. One towards the boards for the Hornets. And Gavin Patnode will get that out quickly. Over on to the near boards, though. Ontario Bay able to take it back in. Wheeling it around behind the net of LaMarche. Over towards the far side. Gets it up to the far point. Looking over his options. He dumps that back in. And it'll roll around in the near corner. Still possessing that is Obey, but they intercept it. Thanks to Drew Main. They'll get it back in. A shot will come, and it's off the goaltender. There was a rebound there, but the Hornets just don't have enough people to capitalize on it. Ontario Bay getting it just into the Hornets' end, but it gets into the hands of Patnode. He'll get it off the boards. And the Obey D will go D to D. And then back the other way. He wasn't quite expecting that, but the Hornets trying to pounce on that quickly. But it didn't quite work. Drew Main going to the bench as opposed to the puck. As Obey will get it towards the near boards. Looking to enter the zone here. Walker Thompson, though, fighting for it. Obey still with that possession. As the Hornets try not to get sucked towards the boards too severely. Gavin Patnode taking it along the far boards. He will dump that back out. 10 seconds left in the penalty. Tyler Main will go off the ice. And he will exchange for Will Sanzone. Obey still with it in their own end. Looking over his options. Gets it up and off the pads of Will Sanzone. We are even strength. I tried to leave that for Joey Leveroni, but it didn't quite work that close in. Leveroni still with that puck. Trying to dipsy-do his way around a couple of the Obey players, as he has been successful in doing in the past, but not quite this time. Hornets getting that in their own end and getting it out of their own end pretty quickly. Jack Lalick going for it, and Obey trying to put a hit on. A quick pass, a shot there, and it's turned away by the goaltender. Ontario Bay getting that quickly, trying to flip it out, but thankfully the flip worked. Ontario Bay coming back out. Jack Lalick intercepting that for the Hornets. Taking it around the net. Sends it over to the far side. Tried to get Will Sanzone in that pass. But Will Sanzone was caught on the back of his feet. Or, in other words, going the wrong way. 3:39 left to go in this second period of play. 3-0. Still our score here from Skaneateles. A face-off to the left of LaMarche once more. Face-off one back by Ontario Bay. They're trying to take a shot, and it's off the mask of Sean LaMarche. It's still loose, and the Hornets are able to grab it. Nick Sergeev grabbing that, taking it out of the zone as the Hornets rush up the other way. Sergeev still with that puck, sends it towards the center. Brady Moore able to intercept, but he's not able to get a shot off. Jalen Meyer taking that. A shot will come, and it's patted away by the goalie. Henry Dougherty sending it over to the far corner. We're going to grab that is Ellis Thompson. Dougherty's still there for it, and keeping it in is Brady Moore. Dougherty will go in for it, but Ontario Bay sending it back up to the far point. And the far point sending it back in. Brady Moore putting on a big hit, but Ontario Bay sending it back up, and they will get it out of their own zone. Sending it towards their bench. and into the Hornets' end. We'll try to get something going here as they come across the crease. No shot will come. It goes wide of the net. Fu-Mei still with that possession in the near corner. They send it quickly towards the center, but the Hornets are able to pick it up. Nick Sergeev deterring a little bit of pressure there. He's able to pick it back up. Into the zone they come. A shot will come, but it goes wide of the net. Henry Dowdy trying to get it deeper still. But Ontario Bay sending it to the other side. Grabbing that. Connor McDonald. Over towards Gavin Nano it goes. We'll shoot it into the far corner. Connor McDonald looking over his options. Hands it quickly over to Walker Thompson. And Gavin Nano was asking for that quickly with a few stick taps. But still it remains in that near corner. And Ontario Bay able to grab that. Sending it over to the far corner. A big hit put on by Walker Thompson, but it just doesn't get him off the puck. Now it does. And thankfully, the Hornets are able to take a shot. But it gets into the D, man. Doesn't quite get to the goal. Rolls into the near corner. Connor McDonald getting a big hit himself. They get it towards the far side. Walker Thompson in the far corner it goes. Still below that goal line. Grayson Mucha getting it over to Gavin Nano. Nano tried to take a shot. And there's another shot will go there from Grayson Mucha. Backhanded from Connor McDonald now. But none of those shots will go in. Goes to center it goes. They're just trying to get him up in close. Grayson Mucha tried to get a shot, but it gets deflected into the glass. He puts on a big hit himself. And boy, oh boy, it is chaos in the Ontario Bay end with less than a minute to go. Ontario Bay grabbing that as a point of more conventional play, but goes back below the goal line. And thankfully, Walker Thompson's able to glove it down, but Fu-Mei gets it out quickly. A one-on-one here with a back checker, but thankfully the Hornets are able to intercept that just as it goes over the blue line. Fu-Mei, though, taking it quickly in on LaMarche, but they're not able to get a shot off. Connor McDonald leaving that for Grayson Mucha. He will get it hard and up, but not quite out of the zone. Fu-Mei keeping it in a second time now. Walker Thompson sends it up the ice, and they will wave off that icing as the goaltender leaves it for his teammate, as both teams do a little bit of a line change here. Off the stick it goes. And the Hornets will have an offside. I'm not sure quite what that ruling is. I believe that is offsides on Ontario Bay. Will they rule that intentional? I believe they will. 9.7 seconds remain in this eventful second period of play. Face off, one forward. Tyler Main grabbing that, gets it back. And oh boy, a little bit of pushing and shoving in front of the crease there. The referees coming in to assess the situation quickly. Separate the two of them, and one referee giving a little bit of talk to Nico Capriati. 4.3 seconds remain in this second period of play. And you can tell that Fu-Mei isn't exactly happy that they're on the losing end of this score. A shot will come from Capriati off the face-off dot there. They will run out of time as that one goes wide. After 2 periods of play here in Skaneateles, the score is 3-0. Hornets over the Storm. We will go to break here fairly quickly. Get yourselves a drink, go to the bathroom, and we'll be back here for the third period of action on the Hornets Hockey Network. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Hornets Hockey Network. My name is Rob Finger, alongside our videographer, Fu-Mei Tung, and we are here in Skaneateles for Period 3 of the Fu-Mei Storm versus your FM Hornets. The score as of yet, 3 for the Hornets, none for the Storm so far. Question is, will Fu-Mei put a mark on the board? Well, that remains to be seen here. We've got a whole period to determine that. We've changed sides yet again. Both goaltenders are ready. Timekeepers are ready over there. We are up here. And the third period of action is underway as FM wins that forward. And Will Sanzo making a couple moves there. Sends it into the far corner. Now Fu-Mei player losing his stick. It'll go up to Walker Thompson. A big shot, and it'll get redirected towards the near boards. Jalen Meyer able to grab that. Lally able to put a shot on, but it gets patted away by the Fu-Mei goalie. Labaroni taking that across. Looking over his options, making a couple moves. It gets redirected, though, wide of the net. And Fu-Mei will grab that. It'll get into the hands of Will Sanzo, and he gets a little bit pushed over. And Fu-Mei will get that puck back and out of their own zone. Lalick grabbing that for the Hornets in their own end. Coming up the far side now. Loses that just before the blue line. Thankfully, Walker Thompson's able to grab it for him. Coming up the near side into the Fu-Mei end. Looking over his options as he comes back in below the goal line. Behind that goal, into Gretzky's office he goes. He comes back out, tries to get a shot on it. It's redirected and he scores! And Joey Labaroni will get another greasy goal off a deflection. And the Hornets will put a fourth on the board. All four unanswered. .1454 remains in this third period. And quickly, the Hornets have put another mark on the board. Face off, one back by Fu-Mei. They send it back up. They get it for Gavin Patno to the Hornets. He will get it just in. Thankfully, he's able to muscle his way around, and he scores! Gavin Patno looks a little bit stupefied by why did that work? He's able to slide it along the ice, and he thankfully gets it into the lower corner of the net. And just like that, the Hornets have their fifth goal of the game, courtesy of Gavin Patno. Face off, one forward by the Hornets again, but Fu-Mei not taking it this time. They will get it just into the Hornets' end, looking to set something up. A shot will come. It's turned away by LaMarche. And here comes Tyler Main. Off the boards it goes. Let Tyler Main still with it along the boards. He gets a little tripped up there. Some of his teammates will come in to help. Nico Capriati tried to put a shot on it as he got a little bit tripped up. Along the near boards it'll go. And the Hornets are thankfully able to keep it in just for now. As Drew Main put it back a little bit deeper, but Fu-Mei will take it in. A shot will come on LaMarche. That'll be turned away, and it gets into the hands of Tyler Main. He will come up the far half of the ice. Looking over his options, through the center now, towards the far side. Leaves it for Capriati. A shot will come, and it goes wide. Gavin Patno sending it towards the center. Fu-Mei will get it out quickly. Nick Sergeev looking over his options. Whiffs on that one. Able to make the pass the second time now. Gavin Patno taking up the far side. Into the zone he comes. Walking it across the blue line. His shot will come. It's off the glove. A rebound, and they score. And Connor McDonald will get his first goal of the summer series. And like I said, all of these goals so far have been greasy, possibly apart from the one that Drew Main had, where he absolutely sniped it from the faceoff dot. Nonetheless, the score is 6-0 Hornets. Getting it up and out. That'll be an icing on Gavin Nano. Looks a little bit discouraged by that, but Nonetheless, we will go back to the other side, and if you aren't already, follow us on Instagram at FM Hornets Hockey for the latest updates surrounding your Hornets team, including pictures, videos, and extras. This face-off, one forward by the Hornets. Fu-Mei, though, keeping it in with a shot. It goes right to LaMarche. He's thankfully able to cover it up before the Fu-Mei players knock it away from his glove. 13-18 remaining in this third period of play. Face-off to the left of LaMarche, as it has been a significant portion of the time. Gavin Nano gets a big shot off the boards, ringing through the whole arena here. Fu-Mei trying to get it back in, but once again, the offsides discipline this game, it's not exactly what it should be. 13:05 remaining in the third. Face-off on the opposite side of the ice from the Hornets bench in the neutral zone. This one to the side by the Hornets. They get it over to the far side. Fu-Mei, though, picking it up, sending it deep into the Hornets' end, as he was in front of the red line to make that happen. Jalen Meyer getting a little bit physical there. He hands it off to Henry Dougherty. They will take it up the near side. A pass up to Brady Moore as they enter the zone. Oh, and he just loses that and his stick as a result. Henry Dougherty making a couple moves, though. A shot will come, and it's gloved down by Fu-Mei. And a stick check will come on Brady Moore. And one of the bigger players of Fu-Mei trying to talk Brady Moore out of getting close to his goaltender there. And as I said in the intro, the last two times that these teams have faced, fists have been thrown. And you wonder if those 3 goals from the Hornets early in this period have sort of discouraged that, and have discouraged Fu-Mei, I should say. As Fu-Mei getting it up the boards, FM able to keep it in. They send it back around the boards over to the near corner. And that number 3 player, unfortunately, I don't have a roster for Ontario Bay. That's why I haven't been quite calling their names so far. And he looks like he's a little bit out for blood. Ontario Bay controlling the net in their own end. Thankfully, the Hornets are able to get their hands on it. Dmitry Sergeev walking across the blue line. He takes a shot that goes wide of the net. Fu-Mei getting it back up the far boards. Keeping that in is Jalen Meyer. He'll send it over to the near corner. He and a bunch of his team go to change. Jalen Meyer stopping that just at the blue line after that stretch pass from Fu-Mei. And they'll get it back the other way. Icing is waved off. Jack Lalick intercepting that in the near corner, looking over his options, sends it towards the center, but it's covered up by the Ontario Bay goaltender as it sat right in front of him at his crease. 11:29 left to go in this third period of play. The score, 6-0. Double what we started this period at, and we're only just under 5 minutes in. Face off, one to the side of the Hornets. Will Sanzone able to take that towards the center, but it gets out for Nick Sergeev. He'll get it off the boards. Will Sanzone going below the goal line, handing it over to Joey Leveroni. Leveroni in the near corner, looking over his options as he comes out, up the boards. Hands it back to Sanzone. Sanzone below the goal line, looking over his options, facing a little bit of pressure from Fu-Mei there. Gets it up for Lalick. Lalick on the other side. Looking over his options as a little bit of pressure is put on by the Storm. He dekes his way around a few of them. Comes over to the near side, hands it off to Joey Leveroni. Leveroni looking to wrap something around here. Goes over to the far side. A little bit of a role reversal between him and Lalick. But Fu-Mei is able to grab that and get it out of their own zone. Nick Sergeev grabbing that, sending it up for Will Sanzone. Sanzone looking over his options as he turns back around, coming across the face-off dots there, but it was a rebound. Nobody was there to capitalize on it. Lalick making a couple moves there. He takes a shot, but it gets redirected wide of the net again. Leveroni floating that into Lalick in the near corner. Coming up the boards he does. Cycles it back around for Sanzone. Sanzo over for Leveroni, gets into the skates of Lalick, and Fu-Mei is able to grab that and send it way out of their zone. That will be an icing. And LaMarche tries to do exactly what Chris Finger does, often just hucking it down the length of the ice. But unfortunately, Chris Finger is able to get it all the way down. LaMarche can only manage the red line at this point, but I will say LaMarche is younger there. He is, I believe, either a freshman or a sophomore, so he has yet some time to learn from the star that is Chris Finger. Devin Nano able to get it, but it gets into the hands of Fu-Mei. Thankfully, LaMarche is able to turn it away. We'll get it up for Fu-Mei in their own end. Up the near boards they go. Coming back into the Hornets' end. Dropping that. Looking to make a shot, but it goes wide on the net. Over to the point man. They try to get it below the goal line, and they do. Right in close, and it gets wide of the net. And they're right in close yet again. But it just creeps across the crease of Sean LaMarche. Oh, and Nico Capriati gets a big hit put on him, but nonetheless, the rest of his team is able to rush it up the near side. Gavin Patno getting a few stick checks there, losing it just as he goes along the boards, and he will receive a penalty, and we will have, oh boy, I thought that may have broken into the fight that we all saw sort of coming, but it didn't quite. Just a few pushes and shoves as Gavin Patno, he will be sent off the ice. As one Ontario Bay player leaves the ice, another will go to the box. And oh boy, oh boy. Has it all come to a head here in Skaneateles? Thankfully, number 3 for Ontario Bay wasn't on the ice. And so, thankfully, I feel like he would probably be the one to throw the first fists here if he was in some altercation like that. The referee's still trying to figure out exactly what penalties to put on the board. Now, if they had video review, or if they were allowed to use video review, they probably would have checked our footage just back there. But rules in Section 3 and rules here in Skaneateles for the summer series prevent them from doing so, even if it is available. And we will have a 5-minute penalty, 5-minute major on Gavin Patno after he was sent off the ice. Possibly check from behind? Well, that's what I'm thinking. And they will have one man to serve that. I believe that may be either a 5-minute major or a possibly 5 in game. As Nico Capriati, number 5 himself, goes to the box to serve that penalty. Now the question is, due to that major penalty, will we have 4-on-4? There are 2 men in the box. And so far, it looks like we will have 4-on-4. Because they are not coincidental penalties, as it is a major and a minor, not 2 minors, as would constitute coincidental penalties. 9:03 remains in this third period. And boy, oh boy, things have heated up. The centers will be thrown out there as 2 players are exchanged. Ellis Thompson will now serve Gavin Patno's penalty. Nico Capriati will go back to the bench. And we are back up and running. FM grabbing that. Walker Thompson whiffing on the first one. Thankfully is able to get around. They get it up the boards. Ontario Bay, though, possessing that in their own end. Coming below the goal line. Connor McDonald able to grab that for the Hornets. He and the rest of his team will enter the zone. Dropping that for Jalen Meyer. Meyer sending it towards the center, but it'll go out of the zone. The Hornets will grab that again. Walker Thompson able to get it. Dumping it into the zone. He'll get it into the near corner. But Fu-Mei will pick that up. Coming up the far side. Out of their own zone. Across the red line. Across the Hornets blue line as they dump it in. But it gets right into the pants of Walker Thompson. Nonetheless, they're able to proceed. Point man shot. It gets redirected up into the netting. .757 remaining in the third. This face-off won back by Ontario Bay, but Fu-Mei able to take it himself. Shoots it, and it's saved by that goaltender. Ontario Bay getting it out of their zone once again. A shot will come. It'll go wide of the net. Jack Lalick facing a big hit there. Looked a little knee-on-knee to be, but both of the players are still up and running. Tyler Main forwarding it up to his brother Drew along the far side. But Ontario Bay possessing that, sending it back towards the center. Drew Main will possess it for the Hornets. 15 seconds left to go in the penalty for Fu-Mei. And then the Hornets will have 3 minutes of 5-on-4. Jack Lalick going into the far corner. He jeeks around an Ontario Bay player there as we are 5-on-4. The Hornets now on a 3-minute penalty kill as Lalick goes and shoots it. But it's gloved up by the Ontario Bay goaltender. 6:55 remaining in the third. Face off to the right of the Ontario Bay net. This one won back towards the Hornets, but Brady Moore only able to grab that beyond the blue line. Walker Thompson grabbing that in the Hornets' end. Forwards it up to Joey Leveroni. Leveroni making a couple moves here as he enters the zone. A shot will come, but it's wide of the net. And Joey Leveroni putting on a big hit as the man he hit returns him a stick check. Nonetheless, the puck will go out of the zone. Meyer sending it back up the far boards. And Fu-Mei sending it over towards the near side. Leveroni picking that back up himself as he brings it into the zone. Keeping it along the boards. 2 Fu-Mei players on the one. Joey Leveroni able to keep it along the boards. And Fu-Mei will get it out. Just trying to waste as much time as he can. It'll go out of the zone. Jalen Meyer will send that back in, rimming it all the way around. And Ontario Bay coming back in. Coming across. They will enter the Hornets' end. Still with that puck through multiple FM defenders. And boy, oh boy, once again, pushing and shoving in front of the crease of Sean LaMarche. With 5:47 left to go in the third. I guess the question now remains, will this game finish before Fitz are thrown? Well, you never know in the game of hockey. Especially not in a tight, or in a very, well, I guess, emotion-full game like this. Fu-Mei getting it from their goaltender in their own end. Sending it back into the far corner of their end. Still possessing it, as I believe that's Grayson Mucha putting on some forechecking, but nonetheless, Fu-Mei is able to walk it out. Skating it up the near side. 2 hits will come, one from Capriati, one from Nick Sergeev. And they'll try to get it out. Fu-Mei able to keep it in, but not for long. They try to get it back in. Grayson Mucha sending it back up the near boards. And Ontario Bay sending it back in. So the Hornets end. Mucha getting it off the boards. Capriati getting it off the boards as well. Able to steal it here. Here he comes. A shot will come, but it's gloved up, or gloved away by the Ontario Bay goaltender. It'll go back up the near boards. Wallach over to Nick Sergeev. Getting it up. That'll go into the zone. 37 seconds left to go in that 5-minute major for Patnode. And the Hornets trying to waste it away in the near corner of the Ontario Bay end. Still on the ground. Just keeping that puck there, wasting the time as he may. Jalen Meyer will come out with it. Well done to Will Sanzone for keeping it in that corner and wasting some time on that penalty kill. Ontario Bay keeping it towards the boards. Jalen Meyer trying to get it back up there, and they get it up a little bit confusingly up the boards. 1 second left, and we are even strength. The Hornets have killed off that major. Here comes Will Sanzone. Nonetheless, a shot. It's off the crossbar into the netting. 3:56 remains in the third period, and both of those penalties have expired. Face off to the right of the Ontario Bay goaltender. This one to the side. Coming back out. Nick Sergeev able to keep it in. He sends it to the far boards. His brother Dimitri will go and get it, deterring a hit. Still with that puck. But Ontario Bay will grab that. Looking to get it out, but Lalick is able to glove it up and keep it in. Dimitri Sergeev looking to work his way onto that puck. Along the boards, he and Henry Dougherty fight. Ontario Bay getting it off the boards. Didn't go quite as far as he would have thought it would. Tried to get it over for Ellis Thompson. Dimitri Sergeev with a shot, and it's gloved up by the goaltender. 3:24 remaining in this third period of play. The score still remains 6-0 as this puck is dropped, and it's one to the boards by Ontario Bay. Getting that, Dimitri Sergeev, below the goal line he goes, into the far corner. Deters a big hit there from a kid who's a little bit taller than him. Ontario Bay still, though, with that puck coming up the near side. Keeping it in, though, his brother Nick. Nick Sergeev, a shot there. It's patted away by the goaltender. Ontario Bay trying to get it out with a shot. And Ellis Thompson handing it off to Nick Sergeev. Sergeev trying to make something happen with it as he goes in to try to put some hits on Ellis Thompson with a shot, and it just goes wide. Henry Dougherty tried to send it across there. Nick Sergeev with an opportunity. He shoots it, but it's off the shin of the defender. Sends it back in, but it went through the pads, but it didn't quite find Twine. Ontario Bay able to get it far out. A quick shot there. It's off the stick of Sean LaMarche as it went quickly across his crease. Jack Lalick coming back up. Able to get it out are the Hornets. As Dimitri Sergeev able to deter some hits there as Henry Dougherty carrying the puck himself, deters a couple hits himself, and he will dump it in as he goes to change. As understandably, a few of those players are quite tired. Walker Thompson able to get it over for Jalen Meyer. A shot will come. It's on the ice. It's still there, but it goes into the far corner. Grayson Mucha able to grab that. Gets it across and a shot and scores! And Connor McDonald gets his second of the game. And we are 7-0 here in Skaneateles. .143 remains in the third. And one would be fairly accurate in saying that it might be a little over from here. But I will say, the Hornets have one thing left to do. And I will only mention it if it comes true by the end of the game. A shot and they score again. It's 8-0. And I believe that was Grayson Mucha who was able to put it in. And he will get his first goal of the summer series. .128 now left to go in the third period. Face-off. One back by the Hornets. Jack Lalick taking it. Not going to waste some time. He gets it up for Tyler Main on the far side. He will dump it in himself. Nico Capriati going in for it. It'll go up along the far boards. Jack Lalick getting it up for Gavin Nano, who will dump it in. It'll go below the goal line once again. Ontario Bay, though, picking it up. Sending it back towards the far corner. Rimming it around to the near boards. Nico Capriati grabbing that for the Hornets, though. He hands it up for Tyler Main, who gets it towards the net. Nico Capriati went in for a big shot there, but didn't quite make it. Ontario Bay sending it over to the far side. They will enter the Hornets' end. Gavin Nano with the possession for the Hornets. Sends it up the far boards. Less than a minute left to go as Drew Main grabs that. He and Nico Capriati go in. A Capriati shot! Oh, and it's on the crease! Oh, and a big cross-check there. Oh, and a few big hits there. And we certainly have a fight now. And, well, let's just say it. For the third time in a row, Ontario Bay and FM have gone into a fight. And 2 Ontario Bay men will go off the ice. Gavin Nano will go off the ice himself. And boy, oh boy, what is it about these two teams that gets them so riled up? Well, it's a mystery to me. 35.4 seconds remain in this third period. The score is 8-0, and I'd understand if Ontario Bay was a little bit frustrated by the 8 goals that they have been put on and the none that they have put on the board themselves. 35.4 is all we have left. Face-off, one to the side. Ontario Bay taking it. It'll get off the far boards. Grabbing that is Jack Lalick. Looking over his options. Sends it up the far boards for Joey Leveroni. Leveroni still with it there. 20 seconds remain. Obey sending it off to the far side. Getting it back into the near corner. Ontario Bay getting it up. And it gets into the hands of Joey Leveroni. 5 seconds remain. He will waste the time away on the clock. And that'll do it from the Allen Arena. Final score, 8 for the Hornets, none for Ontario Bay, as Sean LaMarche gets the first shutout from a Hornets goaltender this summer series. What a performance from him. And boy, oh boy, it came close a few times to getting a shot and goal put on him. And thankfully, he was able to deter all that came toward him. And no, Chris Finger will not get the first shutout of the Hornets of this summer series. It will be youngster Sean LaMarche. Well done by him, and well done as well by Connor McDonald. 2 goals tonight, and I'm sure a few assists along the way. But what a performance by this Hornets team here this evening. And, well, as was said, for the third time, the Hornets in the Ontario Bay Storm have fought on the ice and thrown a few fists. Well, the question is, will they do it for the 4th time this regular season? I'm not sure. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that'll do it from the W.G. Allen Arena here in Skaneateles. Final score, 8 for the Hornets, none for the Storm. We thank you all for watching. Really couldn't do it without your support. We bid you good night from the shores of Skaneateles Lake. We'll see you here on the Hornets Hockey Network. Have a good night, everyone.